This is Barley. Sit. Sit. This is Barley's roadmap to success. Remember, when you ever give a dog a treat, you want to say the command word twice. A lot of us, we say good dog. But if I say good dog when I poop, when I sleep, when I come, when I go, it means everything, so it doesn't mean one specific thing. So every time the dog, I say the command word twice. Barley, come, come. I told him what to do, and then when I paid him through the treat or petting him, I label it and let him know what it is. Okay, so he is an unusual dog. He sleeps a long period of time. Most dogs take cat naps throughout the day. He just likes to sit up here and hibernate. The problem with, I think that he needs more exercise. He's not a super high energy Chihuahua, but exercise is best sprinkled throughout the day in shorter sprints. So I'd like to see his guardians try to use the Doggy Stairmaster we talked about. We're going to talk about feeding, but eventually I like to feed out of an Omega Paw treat ball and snuffle mat, so that he gets, it's a nice way to drain some energy through an activity he likes. And also, if the dog earns his food, it kind of boosts their confidence. Here, buddy, this looks better if you're here with me. Yes, come. Remember, always label why you're petting him. And whenever petting, always try to pet him under his chin if possible. You can pet him on the side or anywhere else, just never pet here. See how his ears went back? And his nose went down. Insecure body mechanic, his nose down. Sit. Sit. Only ask him once. If he doesn't do it, then he doesn't get the reward. I'm not going to say multiple times. Sit. He just misses out. That's operant conditioning. I'll pay you for that. Or that's passive training, I call. Okay, so other things you can do is scent games. And something else you might want to consider is they make little doggy backpacks. I don't know, you probably could make one for, sign one for Chihuahua, but if he's carrying something, it gives him a job, but it also makes the workout more efficient. And remember, on walks, he burns more energy by sniffing than he does from walking. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to have the other guardian be the one handling his leash, and I'd like to have the guardian who's filming us go out with some shredded cheese, provided the vet says it's okay, and then go on the walk ahead of you, be about a block ahead so you can't see it, and sprinkle a little bit of cheese in the grass. Little bit, not a ton. We want to promote sniffing on the walk instead of having him lunging and all that stuff. Now, go to Denise Fenzi, F-E-N-Z-I, I believe is how it's pronounced. She's the one that has the circling method, and I'd like you to take that course online. It's pretty cheap, but teaching him to go or to do circles and move away, yeah, really. This is a good time for that, yes. How about if I hold it here and you get the other part of the dice? Oh, you're going to growl at me, huh? Remember, a growl drop is not aggression. It's the antithesis of aggression. Never correct a dog for growling or never chastise it. It's communicating. It'll learn, okay, I'll just go straight to a bite. Again, on the walks, sprinkle a little bit of friendly shredded cheese and then point it out to him. And after a while, he'll start looking for that and start sniffing. Down. I'd also like to have you teach him some new tricks or commands. I'd like to have you guys alternate, if you could, 1 week, one of you teaches, and then all week long. Now, the first month, I want you to focus on the stuff we went over here today, but once we get into February, maybe mid-February, then 1 week on Sunday, you teach him how to put his toys in the basket. Might be a little advanced, but find an easy trick, and then let's say it's bang, you're dead. So anytime you want to feed, bang, you're dead. You want to pet, bang, you're dead. You want to go outside, bang, you're dead. After a while, you just go, and he just falls over, he's dead. And so remember, come up with funny command words for that. The next week, the other guardian would take over and teach him another command. So this way he has practice seeing both people acting as a leader. They're both associated with him building up new skills and commands. And eventually I'd like the other, he's kind of a mama's boy. I'd like him to spend a little bit more time with the other guardian in terms of being taught these things to help build that confidence. Now I mentioned the Tellington book or the T-Touch book. It's a way of massaging dogs, like kind of touching their ears in a certain way. That's very relaxing. And there's different pressure points just like us where if you know what they are, sit, sit. Then we can kind of pet him in a way that is comforting and relaxing that he enjoys. And also if you notice him petting a certain part of his body or scratching and he can't get to it, scratch it for him. That's a nice kindness. Now if he's nervous, don't pet him when he's nervous or anxious. Any unbalanced state of mind when you pet him is what you're rewarding. I can lay my hand on him and they do say that touch with affection. Now, when he rolls over, call it like belly or something like that and come up with a command word. And teaching him to roll over on his belly at home would help with the cats. It also helps him be less kind of cock of the walk out and about with other dogs and all that fun stuff. We really need him to learn not to be a guard dog. Okay, so we also talked about rules. Some of the rules would be not lying on the furniture. And because he's nudgy and has some challenge issues with the cats, I think if he's off the furniture for at least 90 days... or longer. Remember, anytime he touches you with teeth, that was a really poor job of it. I'll do it better this time. You do it again. See how he responded? Now, I know the guardian does this, so I do this usually once. If that doesn't work, then I would pull out an antler that I always have in my back pocket and then tease him with the antler a little bit and then redirect his attention towards it. And then now he's going to mouth that. If he gets aggressive about mouthing it, it usually means they're overly tired and he needs a nap. Fetch. Fetch. So if you want to say fetch, play fetch, you do it 3 times. So he's sewing, I want to do this. So fetch. When he picks it up, I say fetch. And if he didn't bring me the toy, he doesn't get the reward. If he does, then he gets the reward, and I would say fetch a 3rd time. Another great way to burn energy. Okay, so one of the rules, not being allowed to couch for 90 days or as long as the problem's still going on. Get those X mats, it just makes it easier to police it. After that, it's with an invitation only for good behavior. Next one is you have to sit at the door, go to the door, tell him to sit once. If he doesn't sit within 3 seconds, walk away, sit down in one of your chairs there, put on your cowboy hat, read a little bit, and then after 1 minute, go back and tell him again to sit. If he doesn't sit this time, walk away and sit down for 2 minutes. Next time you sit down for 4 minutes, and so on. Eventually, he'll go to the door and sit down to prepay. I would also do it for this door if when you come home, if he's in the bedroom, open the door a crack so you can see him, tell him to sit. If he doesn't sit, close the door. Now the problem here is you won't be able to see him. If you have a security camera in there, you can actually watch. As soon as he sits, the door opens. So eventually we want him to learn that sitting, which is a more subordinate position, is a great way to get things. Okay, let me see. There's a carpet here around the table, so he should not be allowed on the carpet while you're eating here. The rest of the time he can come and go. I'd also teach him that out command. So take a half treat, throw it out this way. When he goes and completely vacates the carpet and licks it up, say the word out, then throw one that way, then that way, then that way. Again, move the, we're going to talk about that right now. The dog treats toys away from where the cat habitat is. Now, he likes to kind of antagonize the cats a little bit. Yelling or talking to him, the guardians are here to yell, but they say his name, but after a while, that can actually be the spark sometimes. So what we want to do instead is if the cat is right here and he starts going towards the cat and the cat doesn't want it, I would get up and walk and put my back to the cat, face him, and walk him away. Now, he does offer it at times on his own, and so I want you to make sure you label that. And so call it flee or away or retreat or whatever the word that you want to use is, again, fun words if possible. So when he does those, make sure you reward him. Let him know moving away from the cats is something we really like. That's a great way to get our attention. Most of us do a very poor job, as you remember, of what the dog can do to make get our attention. So if we reward him for the things we like, more likely he's going to do that. I call that passive training. So if he sits, pet him and say sit. Preferably under the chin, not over the head. If he comes to you, pet him and say come. If he lays down, pet him and say crash. If he lays on his side, call it flop. He gives you his back, call it belly. Name all of his individual toys. Come up with a fun word that means to eat. So sushi or whatever it is. Every time he takes his first bite of food for a couple months, say the word sushi. Now, he is a bit of a finicky eater because his guardians doctor his food. Now, I would recommend getting some food. Find a brand that he really likes. Remember, the temperature of the food is more important than taste. So what I would do is I'd go to strict kibble only in the breakfast. Put it down and put a little hot water in it, swirl it around so it's a stew, and call him over for it for about a minute. If he doesn't come over within a minute, pick it up, dump it empty, put the empty bowl back down. He doesn't eat again till the next meal. But at first, you might want to skip dinner because he just really likes to eat later in the evening. So, and then and then the next day, he'd be more hungry for breakfast. Now, if we do this in concert with increases in exercise, if he's anxious like that, or he's whimpering, or he's humping his bed, these are indications, or naughty, these are indications he needs some exercise. Right there, that whining, I want you to hear that and say, he needs some exercise. The more you get in a habit of taking for a quick walk around the block, or the mega paw treat ball, or whatever it is, you're going to notice that he's going to practice those behaviors, and the less that he practices being anxious, the less he will exhibit that anxiety behavior. Okay, so passive training, we are celebrating the things that he does that we like, so every time he comes to us, if I miss it, somebody would say celebrate, I'd turn over and pet him, and I would narrate whatever he's doing. If he's standing there, I assume he came, and I'd pet him and say come. He's laying down, so on. Come up with a list of the official command words, and then say vocabulary if you're using a different version. We don't realize we say come here, come here, over here, dog's name, dog's nickname, whistle, tap my thigh, and something else. Now the dog has to listen for 10 command expressions for one command action. It's much easier for all of us just to use one word. Also, try to avoid saying good dog. Just say just the command word, not even good sit, just sit. And then we also talked about petting with purpose. So if I want to pet the dog or he's nudging me, if he nudges me, he's telling me what to do. And go ahead, you pet for that. That's a good come. So if he tells me what to do and I pet him, well, then I'm validating. You're the boss of me. So what I want to do instead, if he comes to me and nudges me, I'm going to give him a counter order, tell him to sit. If he sits within 3 seconds, I would pet him under his chin and say sit. If he doesn't sit within 3 seconds, I show him I have other things to do. I'm going to paint. I'm going to look at some, read some pictures, or read some pictures, read an email or whatever it is, and then show him I got other things. You missed out. After a while, that makes my pet's a lot more valuable. Playing hard to get. Remember, works great for dating, works great for dogs. So after a while, he'll come start sitting in front of you to prepay for the attention. When he does that, make sure you pet him under his chin, say the word sit, and pet him as much or as little as you want. Now, use the watchword of paycheck. If you suspect someone's petting without a purpose, you say paycheck. That person, even if they did it right, stops petting, tells him to sit. If he sits, pet him under his chin, say sit, and then say, actually, I asked him to sit, you missed it. But if you want to pet him, you still tell him to do that. And if he doesn't, nothing happens. No punishment, no chastisement, but he doesn't get what you want. Now remember, anything a dog's doing when you pet is what you're rewarding. And good attention and bad attention is the same thing. Also, anything a dog does in your presence that you don't specifically disagree with is the same thing as saying, I agree with it. So when it comes to enforcing rules, you need to be very, very consistent for that 90-day period. And then after that, you can kind of slough off on it, and the dog kind of gets in a habit of doing it. Now, we went over the focus exercise above, in the video above, and I'm going to try to remember to link, I'm trying to think of the dog's name from yesterday, but there was a dog yesterday that I worked with, a Jack Russell Terrier, that also is fearful of men. So I talked about the greeting that we did outside, and I'd recommend that you do the same sort of thing. Have friends come over, invite our friends or neighbors if you have any, they're nice and convenient, but have them come over. So we want to practice that. We want to carry momentum. So we want to do that frequently so that he just sees people coming over means I go out, I get some treats. We go out, by the time I meet him, I've gotten a bunch of treats, then we go for a mini walk, and then we come back. And it'd be nice eventually if you give them the leash. Now remember, for him, excitement is the cause of a lot of his problems and frustration. Before you go to the dog park, don't go to the dog park anymore unless he's been exercised first. You have to just walk into the dog park. Remember, when you're going to the dog park, as I'm walking and approaching, if he pulls, we're going to do that circle, so you should take the class, and that'll take care of that. So he's going to know that I can't pull to get where I want. And if he's pulling, that's going to increase his level of intensity of his anxiety or anything else as well. So basically, when you get into the transition, so go casually, don't let him pull. When you get in the transition box, tell him to sit. If he doesn't sit, just sit there, pull out your phone, and wait. Somebody else wants to come in, exit, let them go. You're not going to let him in the dog park until he's completely calm, and exercise ahead of time will help with this. So you're standing there waiting, and as soon as he sits, then you reach over to take the leash off. As soon as you reach for him, he's going to get up, pull the arm back, and go back to reading your emails. And you'll have to do this back and forth and back and forth, and that's why petting with a purpose and passive training, all that stuff here will help with this. So eventually you'll be able to reach over and detach the leash, and he stays sitting. Then the next stage is I jiggle the handle, all the dogs to the other gate to go into the dog park, all the dogs rush up, and I pull my hand back, and we can do a little focus exercise if he's anxious or whatever it is, and just read some emails, wait for those dogs to move away, jiggle it again. Do that about 3 or 4 times until when you jiggle it, none of the dogs rush up. Then you can open it, let him go in there. You achieved a calm and balanced state of mind. When he walks in, he's not accosted by a whole bunch of other dogs. He's not running around and rattling the other dogs up. And while you're in the transition box, don't prejudge people, but you can post-judge. When you're in there, judge them. Are they paying attention to their dog? Is there a dog in there that's going around and dominating the other dogs? If so, maybe I don't want to take him in there. Now remember, his energy level from 0 is asleep, 10 is as crazy as you've seen him. So if you get him in the dog park and he's like a level 2 or 3 energy, it's nice and relaxed, he's going to be much better to control himself. Follow him around the dog park. If he starts getting worked up, put your hands right here on his inner thigh and pull him backwards away from it, and try to shield the other dog away. Try to avoid picking him up, and move him as far away until he settles down. Hackles going up is an indication of arousal, but doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just means he's getting worked up. But you have to calibrate what is the appropriate level at the dog park. And I usually say level 5 energy, but maybe he's only a level 3. Once he gets over level 3, he's going to get in trouble with the other dogs. So if we consistently get him out of there and make him have that timeout, and when his energy drops down to a certain level, we let him go back, he's practicing calming himself down. If we let him go to level 8 or 9, that's where the fights happen, and it takes a long time to get down to level 2 or 3. So the more we help him practice this, the more he's going to get better and better at this, and eventually you won't have to do it, because he learns, as soon as I get over the certain level, or dad is going to give me a timeout. We went over the escalating consequences. I don't go over those in the video here, but if you have any questions about those, please let me know. But practice those setups like I showed you in the kitchen. Go in there, drop those treats, and wait for him to go in there, and or try to go in there, and you use those escalating consequences to move him out. But the more you help him practice respecting boundaries, the more self-control he'll develop here, the more he'll be able to exhibit it out and about. And remember, anytime he's reactive, get him away from whatever it is. The key is to recognize the first sign. So if you're walking down the street and you see another dog walking towards you, maybe once or twice, you might want to just observe and wait to see where his thresholds are. Some people will actually take a camera and film their dog so you can watch it later on your big screen TV. So most dogs, it's kind of like, I kind of lock in and stare. Or I do this. If the camera's the dog, I'll look like this. This is called avoidance. Or I'll get stiff, or I'll start breathing heavy. My tail will go up. I'll start breathing heavy. My pupils dilate. Those are hard to sometimes see. But if you can recognize what your dog's warning signals are, and you see you're walking towards another dog, and he starts giving these signals, and you get him out of there before he reacts, he doesn't have to defend himself. And like I talked about in the video above, we teach him that we're going to get you out of trouble, and we use the focus exercise to help him do that. But eventually, the last part of the video, we're teaching him looking away from the other dog, get your reward, and then I'll move you away. And so you don't have to react and do that himself on your own. But the more you enforce the rules and pet with the purpose of passive training, that's going to flip the leader-follower dynamic so that he no longer thinks it's his job to protect you or correct the other dogs around him. Barley! Remember to use this hand like this, Barley. The lower you go, the more it's for the dog. I can't go any lower than the couch here, buddy. Come on. And then over the head to get a sit. When he sits, let him lick it off your hand. Tickle him under his chin, say the word come. This is my buddy Barley, and these are some tips. This is his roadmap to success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog. Only sometimes you mean it.